Wow. We open with the most shocking thing I've ever seen in my life. Gabrice and Gabrissy not looking a complete and utter fool because she went on and put a decent Adidas suit on with her new Telfar bag, although those ads were horrible. Just like her love life. Well, maybe not as bad as her love life. She needs to stop going to this sissy as her hairdresser because he ain't helping. Her wigs always look like a fresh hairball that a cat just coughed up. She is what the cat drug in. Oh, so she's doing her little photo shoot for their podcast that ain't nobody listening to. And Instagram Live is one thing. It's like, okay, we were bored during the pandemic. We can get out the house now and get away from you. Much like Jamal got away from you. And Juan's trying to get away from you. Oh, Lord. Now, Caprice, you're doing a photo shoot and you couldn't get a dress that fit. I know we all put on a little COVID weight, but it's a photo shoot. You really should, focus on the fit, on the cut, on the lines, the hem, the seam, the textile. Instead, you just ran into Marshall's and grabbed the first garish pink garment you saw. Now, Gabrice wants to talk about her work ethic. I guess it was hard work putting up with Jamal. But what have you done? What is your career? What is your job? That little makeup company let you be a figurehead, and Jamal was the one who gave the $5 grand for them kids to invest in that restaurant that's now belly up. So what is it that you do? I'm confused. Work ethic. Rob Dixon shows up 32 minutes late, but who's shocked? Rob always shows up late because nobody ever cares that she's there, like on the show. Oh, girl. She talking about I was in Atlanta all last year. Me and Jamal were going back and forth on the phone. Of course not. Her sissy is looking at her like, you gonna let me film with you, so I guess I'm gonna let you lie. He's giving a good... Rob is such a good friend. The breakup would have happened eventually, but the pandemic made it more clear. Honey, the breakup happened back in 2000 something when he divorced her? That's when the breakup happened. Probably around the third or the fourth baby mama. Grace is failing that learner's permit because she knows you gonna have her chauffeur and her sisters around. She's like, you the mama. I'm gonna get my driver's license when it means I'm free. She said she's embarrassing the Bryant name. I think Jamal was the one who did that when he kept giving his name out after the marriage to outside children. To me, that's the true embarrassment of the family name. Why are you going to ask a gay man what having your clit done means? We clearly don't know. I couldn't differentiate a clitoris from a pear. I imagine they're both good and sweet. So Rob Dixon and her horrible haircut says that they should try to get together with Mia since the last time Karen was there and she didn't know which way to go. Mia knew exactly which way to go and she wouldn't let you talk because you have nothing relevant or intelligent to say. It's that simple. Like you, dear. Simple. So they invite her to drinks without Karen. But this photo shoot, Rob in this almost cute red frock, and then Gabrissy in that awful garish pink garment. You couldn't have done something where you were cohesive, where your clothing could complement each other. Then again, you don't have clothing that can complement yourselves. So how could I think you could complement each other? My mistake. Giselle is always trying to show off them cankles. Oh, Lord. Rob is always giving us femininity in these jumpers. I mean, this is just femininity. Meanwhile, across town with Ashley and her coot, Michael wants to go into movie production, so you need a team of cameraman's asses to grab. Is that what you're saying? Is that what the message is here? Is there just something about a cameraman's build? I guess because they're holding it up all day, they must have strong glutes. And we know you love a glute. Movie production. Lulu in the chat said, and by movies, he means gay porn. I could see it. Gay, bisexual, they got a gamut. He gives me a gamut tea. Ashley said, I don't know if we should go into business together. Remember Oz? Nobody does, do they? Nobody ever got that kangaroo burger. And that was expensive imported meat. Meanwhile, at Karen, she's making some delicious looking lamb chops. Y'all think Karen can cook? She gives me a mediocre tea. I'm sorry, she just don't look like she could really put her foot in it. But she might. She might. I haven't had her food. The lamb chops did look good. I'm seeing some good olive oil. It might be okay. Child, Karen said, I'm going to get Surrey County on the map. Karen, you want your coot to waste more money on carrots? You know you gonna need that money for his nurse in about 2 years. Oh, well, apparently she can't cook. Not only did she burn the fish, but then Raven said Daddy likes burnt food anyway, so that she's been burning food for a while. After a boring, contrived scene with Mia, we've got Rob Dixon. Oh, Lord. Rob's friend shows up in a ratty, matted fur coat. I mean, it looked like the back of Nene's head. Did you get Nene's wigs out of the trash and make a coat? I know we were bored during the pandemic, but that's not something you should be wearing on camera. I mean, it looks like it smells like piss. That's not a fur, that's just a dead animal. Roadkill couture. Oh, Lord, Wendy walked to this workout so stiff. Why is Wendy working out? You just got your body done. You need to sit down and let it set. You gonna pop an ass implant. Look at Kenya. I'm looking at this trainer and she looks like she needs to be trained. Now, this is no body shaming, but if I'm gonna come to you for personal training, I'm gonna need to see something. I'm gonna need to be, okay, you got it together. However, Candace calls and says she's having a peace out house pajama jam. Oh God, Wendy, that hairline. It's as harsh, well, as harsh as I am. But harsh in comedy is good. Harsh on a hairline. Oh, honey, no. Now, Karen. Now, you see, we just saw a dead Muppet in the last scene, but Karen's fur in this scene, impeccable. Impeccable. With the Versace shirt. Now, this is style. This is housewife style. This is what we want to see. True elegance. Oh, my goodness. So when they invited Mia to the Drinks Without Karen, Mia responded to Gabrice and Gabrisi with, unless you want to talk business, I have no time to talk to you. Which means that Mia's smart because there's really nothing to say to her on or off camera. It's a shame that Giselle has such a bulbous head with nothing in it. Mia said, oh, I'm sorry if you thought I was rude, Rob. But I was just being direct. On today's episode of She Ain't Having It, of course Rob had nothing to reply back to her with. When has Rob ever come up with a good comeback? When has Rob ever had a snappy response? When has Rob ever had an original thought? No, Karen is not making you the bad guys. Your actions are making you the bad guys. The fact that you're always up Gabrisi's butt is making you the bad guy. And we mean guy. Rob Dixon. Oh, Lord, we're wasting time in the studio with Candace.
Must really think and plan. Reverse the conversation.
She really trying to hit that Tony Braxton note. Honey, you can't. Tamar can, though. Tamar can. That label didn't sign you because they weren't going to lose any money and they probably didn't exist. But it's never a good fit for a label to sign someone of mediocre talent and moderate fame. You didn't get signed because they already saw you sold 8 copies of
I don't know how to heal a hurt.
So no, you're not going to get signed. That's not going to be a good fit. Failure is never a good fit. Much like your clothing, never a good fit. Oh goodness, an entire album. And you were so obsessed with being a child. Your freshman album. You want the respects of the greats in the music industry. You're not making art just to heal your heart. You're not making art because this is what the audience is going to enjoy. This isn't a passion project. This is a look at me. And we sick of looking at you. Oh, goodness, I can't believe it. How did Gabrissi get out of that Isetta into this leased Range Rover? You ain't got nobody 600 a month. Not for a car. Because we could tell by the barn you live in. See, how you gonna drive a Range Rover up to a barn? And an unfinished barn at that. Shout out to Chris. Oh, Gabrice's kids can't stand her. I mean, I would say I'm sure that they're a little happier with her off camera, but they do not want to be on camera. They are thoroughly embarrassed by their mother's antics. I would be too. Now we have to go through the few memories Candace had in her mama's house. Child, Karen's pajamas were so ugly when she showed up, I thought she was Giselle. Why did Rob Dixon show up wearing Regine Hunter's mother's headband? Chip Fields, the great Chip Fields. Actress and director. I mean, it's just bedazzled bullshit. Now, Karen, you know you being shady bringing up a wedding during the middle of the panty. Have we seen this confessional look from Rob before? Oh, I mean, this is true bed sheet. This is just a bed sheet across your bosom, and and then this acrylic knot on your head. I've never seen you look worse, and that's saying something. Now, Gabrissi, if you had gotten this robe in black, it would have been cute. But you had to get this multicolored mess. So, of course, Candace forgot to invite Ashley. All right, so now all talk has turned to me, and Karen confronts the gruesome twosome about their invite and disinvite. And she said maybe my name shouldn't have been in the text, and Gabrissi wants to say, well, I wanted to get to know her. I already know you. Now, Alaska or Escale, whatever her name is, I don't know why you all anti-Mia when you don't even know these heifers. You're a friend of Rob. You should probably be quiet. Mia said I might have been a little aggressive, but don't nobody tell me what to do. And Alaska gonna pop up and say, well, there's a lot of delulu going on. You're deluded thinking you're on this show as a friend of Rob. Let's start there. Then we'll get to your shitty hair. Oh, goodness, Mia gonna say, how many businesses do you own? And Rob getting femininity with it. Who the fuck cares how many businesses somebody owns? How many businesses have you ruined? Wands, for starters. Child, Candace had to stand on her own table in her own house to get attention, just like the child she is. But now we've got the girls playing Prosecco Pong. So Mia go on and apologize to Gabrissi. And Gabrissi was mad. Child, it was a text message. You need to save that anger and energy for Jamal. But would you do that? Of course not. Oh, we gonna play Never Have I Ever. Never have you ever had style. And we end with Ashley having her baby. So we open with Ashley's new baby. But we head on over to the park with Mia, her coot, and they're chilling. That scene was boring and tedious too. And speaking of boring and tedious, now we've got Candace. So Chris tells Candace that she should invite Ashley on the trip. And meanwhile at Ashley's, Gabrice drops by. So after baby Dylan poops, giving his frank opinion of Gabrissi, Gabrissi tells Ashley about the trip that Candace organized and cut her out of. So Gabrice is going to invite her since Candace won't. And then they get to talking about how all Wendy wants to talk about is her new breastises and buttesses. Well, she's never been pretty before. I mean, if you walked around looking like a caterpillar for years and then you finally looked like a woman, I'd celebrate the moment too. And of course, Gabrice has to mention the rumor that Eddie has a girlfriend, which I never heard until you made it up. Don't nobody wants Eddie in his medium shirts. If he can't afford a shirt that fits, how is he going to afford a woman on the side? No, Gabrissi, it's not the rumors that got Wendy to get a new butt and new boobs. It was birth. It was childbirth. She said, okay, I done had my third kid. We done healed enough. Now let's go, get me back to normal. Because I think what childbirth does to a woman's body is cruel. So Wendy's upset that people ain't interested in these little candles because she's a commentator. It's not. It's because you're boring and off-putting. And honestly, the new butt and new boobs could be her trying to look more fun. But Eddie said, you might have wanted to buy the name before you printed out them logos and wasted my money. Kids Force T. Eddie said, I ain't investing in that crap. Girl, just open your little Shopify and shut up. She said walking away from it would mean walking away from her dream. Child, you just started doing this. What'd you do, take a little nap? Got a little power nap dream? Meanwhile, across town, Gabrice and Rob are having their drink with Mia, and we've got Rob in a high heel. I can't believe it. It's always interesting when Peppermint Patty slips out of her Birkenstocks. So they have a cute little moment and bury they hatchet. Mia tells them about how she grew up. And so then her and Rob were able to bond over their trauma. So we getting ready for this trip and they gonna get Rob for them child labor laws. So the bus pulls up to Candace's house and she's got this microphone in there. And honey, you're loud and irritating enough. You don't need cheap children's toys to help you. Oh Lord, Alaska's coming too? But Karen gets on the bus and completely eggs Gabrice and Gabrissi. Kind of like her husband eggs her. And her children egg her. I mean, when you can't even ignore somebody, I'm going to give you the egg. Just, Ignore is, But the egg is just, Gabrissi tells Candace, oh, I invited Ashley. Oh, Lord. Rob is trying to have another child that she can't afford to keep a man that don't want her. She's been making poor choices all her life, so I shouldn't expect anything but this. So this is de rigueur. But now we getting on the stripper pole. Mia said, I don't know what to do with the pole. Child, we just fucked at my escort club and called it a day. Child, I thought Karen was a little herky-jerky until Jabrice jumped up there and clung her cankles together. And Rob gets on the pole and gives us femininity and lack of coordination. Child, Mia went on and showed him how it was done. So now we've got the room wars. Who's in the main house versus who's in the cottage? Oh, Lord. So it's Candace, Gabrice, and Gabrissi and Mia in the main house, and then everybody else in the cottage. Karen invites Wendy to her swearing in, and of course this makes Gabrice and Gabrissi mad. Look, just because you can't be friends with her doesn't mean everybody else can. Okay, this house is nice. Rob gonna tell Mia I'm kicking you out your upstairs room because I have to be with my boo. Just between me and you. But now Gabrice and Gabrissi gets to begging for an apology from Karen.
Would anyone else like to apologize?
Would you like to apologize for that outfit you wore to BravoCon? Because I honestly am owed and I'm sorry. Karen did not just say, if she really wanted to squash this, she would do it woman to woman. But she needs an audience. Karen said your life has been revealed as a fraud and a fake.
Of course not.
And we ended with Gabrissi saying, I want Ray to live. I want him to pay his bills. See, if you just could have said, I want Ray to live, you might have been able to get, an apology going. But instead, you have to be shitty and shifty and shady. And single. And single as a dollar bill.